Hi.
Doctor, good morning.
Good morning as well.
Glad we're here. Um, I didn't wear my scrubs, but I'm glad you did.
Yep.
So I always, I gave you a little taste of the mindfulness yesterday of entering into the beginning of a procedure and an encounter. Think of these
hmm
things as a sacred encounter. I always like to, the millennial way would say take a vibe check. But mindfulness, what's your state? What's your state of mind? Could be more than one, could be tired, energized, excited, filled with anticipation and hope, filled with skepticism. What's your
Yeah.
state?
Um, I would say I'm definitely really excited for this. Really hoping that it. I mean, I really do hope that it helps me out a lot. And yeah, so
Okay, so I guess high hopes, excited and high hopes, um, and you feel strong about like you've given alternatives a chance, meaning you've tried to do it yourself. So like, there's a feeling of like you're not being impulsive. You've come to this
yeah. Mhm.
through
Yep.
thought and thinking. Okay, good. All right, excellent. So just tell me between yesterday and today, what did you get to fill in those forms that I sent?
I did the intake form, yeah,
Okay.
and then just still haven't logged into to like the other one in the
Okay.
second one that it was on the thing.
No problem. Just see if I can just pull up that information. So there were two. There was the entry form that's kind of like mine, and then there's also one that's that was called the Oasis. That's a more standardized one. There were two like Google Forms. You did both of those?
No, no.
Okay. So in the email, I think I sent you. There were two links there. I'll just see if I could do those quickly.
Yeah, yeah. I can just go ahead and do them right now.
And the reason for that, think of it as like a 360 MRI. Like it gives me a picture of where you're at today. It'll also give us a chance as we work together for me to craft the work to customize, tailor fit to what you need. And then as we go through it and at the end to have a comparison, like we'll have like an exit. Um, so
Yep.
if you just tell me, but I think they were in the email there.
Let's see. Oh, the entry form. Okay, yeah. So I thought that it was the
uh,
intake. Yeah,
Got it. This is not it's not a bad thing. It won't take you It won't take you long, but I'd like you to fill it in if you could, please.
yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Let me just go ahead and do it real quick. Okay. What does like so in the Oasis form,
Oasis, okay.
the
Mhm.
first one is the second one is knowledge of self regulation. What does that mean?
Give me 1 second. Let me just look at this. Let me ask you a favor. Go to the other one first. The not the Oasis form. Do the other one first.
Okay.
To be honest, the Oasis form, we used to have it as a PDF, and I recently had someone put it up, and I'm
Okay.
looking at it, and I'm not sure that it's clear myself. It doesn't fit. So forget
Okay.
the Oasis form. Let's just do the other one,
Okay.
which is the entry form. Questions feel relevant?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So for the last one where it's asking if I go ahead and let you guys use like photos or qu- quotes, is that like of me?
It's not of me. Yeah, you can choose no. Um, Sometimes things that I record our meetings for internal purposes. I don't share them without your permission, obviously. Um, Sometimes there are excerpts or things that we would use for instructional purposes or improving what we do. And so that's just an invitation to ask you if you consent to that
Okay.
or if you prefer to opt out.
Okay. All right. I just went
Fantastic.
through and
Good.
submitted it.
I see. Okay, great. I'm just going to take a quick scan at that. Okay. I'm like looking it over. And what I'll do is, again, we had short notice, but I'll turn this into like a radar chart. So we have like a nice visual of it.
Okay.
But also the specifics of it can be helpful. Um, Stuttering is up there as a reason. Um, okay, so this question that I asked, what do you think might hold you back, preventing you from achieving your best? I'm referring to this experience. So like you have
Um.
high hopes. No, it's okay. So yeah, like basically again, that self-awareness of with all the motivation, discipline, good intentions, what might be something that could be, yeah, a hindrance or an obstacle for you?
For me now, at least in terms of this right here and the journey, the only thing
Hmm.
really will be my schedule and stuff like that. But yeah, no,
Okay,
yeah.
amazing. So I'm just reading the qualitative stuff. How do you hope it'll help? So in workplace situations, advance professionally. When you're presenting or just in general conversations, you have word switching in your pocket, but when you can't word switch, like there's the history of the patient or there's some procedure or some
Exactly.
diagnosis,
Mhm. Yep,
gotta hit it
yep.
head on. Uh-oh, uh, I'm naked.
Hmm.
You know,
Yep.
it's
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
um, got it. And then this one says, one number one desired outcome to mitigate slash consciously avoid stuttering.
Yeah.
I guess the choice of word was interesting. Avoid. Avoid,
Yeah.
avoid by definition, right? Is a certain stance vis-a-vis the stuttering, which is something we'll get to. But that's a great
Hmm.
example of the subtlety of it. Like, how does that sound to you? Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Of course, yeah. I guess maybe what the way I was trying to say that and stuff is like of course like with anything, I don't expect to 100% just not stutter like anymore, right? Of course not. But if I want to be in a place where like at least I can make it under like in control. And when it's time for me to actually like focus and not, I want to be in a position where I can do that, So
Yeah, yeah. That already sounded different, which is
yeah,
which is good and it's consequential. Okay, good. All right. Let me just take up one more thing here. So on the stronger side, things that got a high number would be like being able to talk openly and advocate for yourself. Those came at pi. You give those like an 8 out of 10.
Mhm.
Um, Interestingly, being kind and compassionate with yourself. You seem like a pretty kind, compassionate guy with good bend manner with patience, but with
Yeah.
yourself, 5 out of 10. Not surprising, but noteworthy. Um, Ability to communicate socially, 8 out of 10. But when it comes to those other situations, that's where he's at home, a 5 out of 10, at school, or work, 4 out of 10. So there's a discrepancy or a gap between, I guess, home and then at work and then socially. Can you just tell me a word about that?
Yeah.
I get
At
the
least
outlier is the socially, you know?
yeah, yeah. Like I like at least when I'm out and about and I'm not at work or whatever, I I don't know. I'm not like a super shy. Like I'm not really shy and really like like I really go out of my way and speak to people and socially and have like a lot of friends and stuff like that. And I think part of the reason is I don't know, like I don't really feel like judged like like when I'm out and about. And of course the tool of like word switching and stuff, I'm able to, because like of course as like the experience with some folks who do have a stutter, you're able to kind of tell when you're about to, right? And because you're able to tell, like I'm able to tell, like, okay, I'm literally, I know I'm about to stutter. So then I go ahead and switch the wording or sentence and still have the meaning that it's there. And it flows well too, so
So that,
flows
I, I get that.
better, I should say. Not like well, but
I get that. So then I guess I'm wondering, I get the work part, being the rating you give. Based on what you're telling me and what I'm seeing, when you wrote at home, also is kind of like you reflected as harder.
Yeah, not really even as at home, but like around like family and stuff like that. It depends. Like I've noticed too, it changes depending on the day and like the what's going on as well. But I remember like clearly in like winter, I went to see some family and stuff. And I remember the whole time, I'm not sure even why, because it wasn't like I was like anxious or anything like that, but I was just like I wasn't able to really flow well, right? So um I'm not sure why, but your mic
Stanley,
is
yeah,
muted, yeah.
thank you. I have the cough, so I'm trying to spare your ears. So when I
It's
bark and
fine.
cough. Uh, okay, good. So I'm just looking this over. The other thing that was interesting just off the bat was previous experience in therapy. So kind of rated that low. So just curious what
Oh,
that
I mean,
how recent.
no, yeah, I honestly like for that question, I should have just skipped it. It was like in like elementary school, so I mean, like, I'm not sure if that really counts.
I think, well, it counts as a core mem, it counts as a previous experience.
Yeah,
It might not be as fresh, it might not be this or that, but yeah, it is what it is.
yeah. It, there at least it was
Mm-hmm.
very of course, like when they were trying to help me, I could tell that
Mm-hmm.
they were like trying their best to go ahead and help, but I felt that the skills and stuff, which now I don't recall, but at least like then I didn't really feel like it helped, and I kind of felt, of course, like being in being like younger at that age, you get like did they go ahead and remove me from the main class, send me to like the special class, right? So I mean, like, felt like an outlier, right, and like that. So there was one strategy we went ahead and tried. I remember it worked, and I've like when I go up and present with a mic. And I remember there was a strategy we tried when I was younger where they put like the earpiece thing. You know
Okay.
what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? And then
Yeah.
you go and talk, and then it talks
Delayed
back.
auditory feedback.
Yep. Yeah. So we tried that, and that it worked. I recall, but I also, because of the age I was at the time, which at that age I was so young, I didn't want to be seen as like weird by having like
Hmm.
right. So you know, yeah.
Sure. 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 Okay, give me 1 second here. Um, I'm just gonna see if I can quickly generate that radar chart because I'd like to have it that I can show you as well, so we can both be looking at it. 1 second, and then I'll show you what I'm looking at. I have a second screen where I'm working on taking notes. Okay, let's see if Claude is ready to get to work on that. Okay, and I'll share my screen, and I'm also going to share this document with you so that you can see what we're doing. Where I'm going. Okay, so while Claude is doing their thing, I'll give you just an overview of what we got here. Okay, share, share, boom, boom. So this is the document that I'll share with you.
Okay.
And it becomes like a living doc that we can share together. So, you know, this I just did for you. So we'll do this. That's done. Put your name in it. You did the survey, so you did this one. We just need to do the other one. So we'll get that done. And this is just like a checklist, but this is really important. This is where you can go and introduce yourself to the community. Um, you don't have to use it a lot. You don't have to think of it as social media. It's a private community that I pay for and I host. There's a couple hundred people there. Most of them I know personally. Many of them I've worked with. Some of them I have not. They're people from around the world of all stripes and colors and identities and so on. But it's cool to like introduce, one medical professional to another, or one person of a certain ethnic tribe to another, and the different nuances that people go through, and see how the common universal human experience of it, but then also some of the subtlety. And then this is really helpful just to know this is here. This is a link to the podcast, a link to the documentary films, a link to the video course, and the ebook. So I'm just pointing this out to you. And then down here, is like an overview of the whole thing. It's not a homework book of what you need to do, but these are all things we can leverage and I will leverage as we work together to say, like, oh, I think this exercise would be good. So you've got each one might be, for example, here, the anatomy of your stutter. And here we go for doctor. So this is a visual that I created that is like an image, obviously. And then after that, I've created a editable version of it. So you can actually just type it in, right here. So all the exercises appear down here, and almost all of them, it's an image followed by a Google Doc version that you can do right here in the doc. So whatever you want to do. So that's the nature of this document. And I will also keep notes. So, we can have meeting notes and I think notable quotables. What are those memorable takeaways or insights? So, for example, one that we had was, to avoid your stutter. Well, there's some subtlety in that, and the word choice might matter. And so thinking about how you frame that and how you tell that to yourself, that might be a notable quotable. A glow, that's my language for something that was desirable, that was something worth celebrating, something worth taking away. Also, when we meet next time, I'll say to you, what was a glow since our last meeting? So looking for wins, becoming a person who's looking for the gratitude and looking for those small victories, but they add up, and then grows, making room for the stuff that was like kind of crappy or didn't go the way you wanted, not just being woo woo, but being able to hit on both these things. So it could be a glow from our meeting, a grow from our meeting. We'll do that at the end. I always ask at the end of our meeting. I'm very big on the feedback loop of like 1 to 10, how we doing? I'll ask you that in a few minutes, and then again at the end, so that I can constantly kind of try to align with what's working for you and what's next. So any follow-up actions, activities, we'll try to log it here so it's clear what's the next thing to do, and a little bit of an overview of what we did. I don't always fill all these things in, but that's the frame of how I think of a uh, soap note or entry in the journal in the log, and then notes as we go. So that's that. And then I'll
Right.
just show you this. I may have mentioned this on the call, but this to me is like a framework or rubric of how I think about the whole stuttering experience, both in terms of the assessment, but also in terms of the treatment and living with it. One is self-knowledge, making sense of stuttering, making sense of yourself, setting the targets you want, making a plan for success. That's all about self-knowledge. It's not about strategies yet. Self-adjustment is what I call the strategies, or what you called avoiding stuttering. But what are the levers you can pull? What are the
Mm,
gears you can tighten or loosen to influence that the words come out with more flow and predictability and ease, as opposed to surprise, pressure, and tension
yeah.
and interruption? And I think of it as, an experiment and an act of choice and agency, as opposed to compulsion or this is how you got to do it. You got to breathe like this. You got to set the auditory feedback to this. And then you're dependent, right? It takes away agency. It's a facilitator, it's a lubricator, so is alcohol, liquid courage for some people. But it's a dependency. What I want to get to is help you feel as independent and capable as you deserve to be. And so it's all about, to me, self-adjustment. And I think I just would add to that is you might choose to apply this in some places more and other places less. So if you have a intimate friend, uh, whatever, you might just want to go what I call freestyle. But if you're presenting to your colleagues or doing bedside or whatever
Yeah.
round, that's where you might
Yeah.
dress up in your scrubs, professional gear. Um, Self acceptance is very important, and your answer kind of says you might deserve a dose of that. You seem to take care of grooming yourself. I would imagine if I was next to you, you probably smell good. You look groomed. But also taking care of your insides. And so self acceptance is that self care and self compassion, being open and comfortable in your skin and in your voice. And self advocacy, you said you rated that very strong. The ability to be open with other people, and not, when I think a person is either not comfortable in their skin or in their voice, sometimes they are hiding it, they are suppressing it, they are masking it, and it's ironic, but what they're trying to do is to fit in, but the act of masking creates a certain invisible wall. And so self advocacy is creating enough openness where you feel safe to do so, to be open and to create more understanding and mutual respect.
Okay.
Any comments, questions?
Um, no, no. Yeah, yeah, everything it makes sense. One thing I did want to ask, just because, just one thing I thought of too. I noticed with alcohol, whenever I do go ahead and drink, the amount of times I stutter, it like dramatically goes down and reduces. Is that like a common thing or like a
Sounds like a treatment protocol. We just got to figure out the dosage.
right?
Yeah, I'm glad. I guess I mentioned the liquid courage. I guess that sparked
Mhm.
it for you, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, is that common? I think yes, it is common. Um, yeah, I would say it's common. I would ask you, is it a common way that you cope?
I think it like unconsciously was prior. Of course, I not anymore. Of course, but like I think unconsciously it kind of was prior. Not something I would like consciously be like, oh, I know I go ahead and stutter less whenever I do go and drink. But I do think I was like, oh, I have an easier time in general, right? And I think part of the reason I felt like it was an easier time in general is because I'm able to flow and say everything I wanted to say and like a of course, right? So I think that it was a thing, but with school now and stuff like that, I that for me and it took like a precedence over that, of course, right? So, yeah. So the one thing I
Let
want to
me.
ask, that, huh? Yeah.
Uh, you go with your question. I'll come back to mine.
Okay. One thing I want to ask to that is I've never felt like I was like an anxious kind of person. I always feel like I'm chill. I'm anxious about like certain things, but like it's not like really relevant to this. At least I don't think. I
Maybe,
mean,
maybe.
yeah, right. And but if we're saying if I'm thinking, okay, the alcohol makes it better, then
Hmm.
is there some underlying like thing of like, oh, I'm anxious, or maybe there's some like sympathetic kind of
Hmm.
thing, right? I'm
Hmm.
not sure. So, um,
Hmm.
what do you think?
So I'll bring it all together. And you have your pen there if you want to take a note. I also just shared with you, and I put the link here in our chat. So you now have access to the doc that I was just sharing with you. So
Yep.
type in the doc, if you want to write your own note. Um, one second. I just organize my head. I'm just going to reflect back that a few moments ago, I think you also introduced anxiety. You said, I stutter in such and such places. It's not like there's an anxiety there. It's not like I'm anxious. So there is a pretext, right? There is an impression, an understanding that is often unspoken. Sometimes it is explicit, but for you, it seems implicit. You picked up somewhere, and society signals this often that stuttering is associated with anxiety. And so you start to become like you tell stories of like, I don't know why I'm stuttering. It's not like I'm anxious. Yeah, like
Mm,
you don't have to be anxious to stutter. So
okay.
so let's debunk that. And at
Right.
the same time, and now you're coming back and saying like, I'm thinking about the alcohol. It's making me think. It's not like I don't think of myself as an anxious person, but maybe now that I'm thinking about the alcohol, maybe there is an anxious component. And then you said,
Hmm.
and then I do have anxiety. It's not related to anything. It's definitely not. Oh, maybe not related to this. So if you would feel comfortable, sometimes when those things pop up, they are relevant. And I'm certainly one that will also say, well, that's not relevant. So if you're willing to share it, I'll be open and honest if I think it may or may not. But if you show your cards and you're open with me, it'll help me.
Yes. Yeah. I yeah, the really the only thing I'm really like anxious about that I'm like I think about in a like that, like I would say, oh, I'm anxious about it is really just like my career, right? I mean the process of being in school, I'm making like no money, no money. Have to apply to residency, which is its own battle. I have to do well on this exam that is coming up, which basically will make or break where I go and if I get accepted. So
Yeah.
and of
Low
course
stakes, very relaxing. And you get lots of sleep, lots of sleep, regular routine. Yeah, life is
the,
easy. But the stakes are high, right? So there's an anxiety or a concern about career and making this all
Uh,
worth it.
of course, yeah. So that's the only thing I'm really like that. At least I'm thinking, right? That I'm anxious about. It's not like an anxiety. Like I don't think I have the ability to go and do it. Like I'm like a smart guy, right? So I don't think it's like a lack of ability, but it's also like the unknown, right? You don't know what can happen. Someone can be smart and like all that kind of stuff, but one thing or another, it can occur, and someone can like for lack of a better word, like lose, right? So
What was that
that's like
word? What was that word? Someone, for lack of a better term, what?
like lose quote unquote, right? I
Hmm.
mean, so and with the amount of time and money and just like with everything, the amount of stress and everything I'm putting towards that, I really don't want to be in that thing, that kind of that like spot, right? So yeah, I would say that's the main thing I when I think of me being anxious, that's the only thing I'm really like really anxious of. And of course, like with the career path, you can't afford to really go ahead and mess up in any way. So yeah,
I missed the second thing. The second thing was what? The nature of the work that you do? Was that what you meant? Like in a procedure?
no,
No, I missed what you
no,
said. The second
no,
thing.
no,
You can't
no.
afford to
It's
mess up in your
yeah, I mean,
career as a
yeah,
student?
like at least right now being in school, because
Yeah.
at least one small thing that mess up, you like it can look bad on someone reading your application and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Mhm.
And then
And
going back to Mike, oh, go ahead.
yeah, and then it's not really anxiety with like with speaking. There, I would say the anxiety with speaking is like I kind of have like a feedback kind of loop thing where like okay I know I'm gonna stutter at least at work or something, and then I go ahead and I go ahead and do that and stutter, and then I'm like oh shit, right, like fuck, like I just went ahead and stuttered, and then now I'm thinking now the people that are watching me just saw me go and stutter, and then it like it's like the graphic you just showed one of them. It's like for me, 100%. It makes me like sweat more. I feel hot, right? And then slowly it becomes worse and worse. So this is specifically when I'm at work, like speaking in like a presenting kind of way. So
There we go. Which graphic are we referring to? One of the worksheets that I showed?
yeah, it was like in the document. It was like
Yeah.
was making you feel like hot and
Yeah.
sweaty, that kind of stuff.
I was
So
mentioning how it looks and how it sounds, but also how it feels. And so, right, some of
yeah.
the examples could be feeling sweaty, feeling your face is flush. Yeah. So
Yep.
that feedback loop, we'll talk about that. I almost feel like the auditory feedback that you were listening to, the delayed auditory feedback as a kid, that's feedback. What you're talking about here is almost like feed forward.
Uh,
So
oh,
like as
okay.
things
Sorry. Yeah.
happen, no, I'm just taking a cognitive split. They're not no mistake. But yeah, once it happens, now it's like, okay, did I just blow my career? Like, did I just totally
Oh
F's
yeah,
us up.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the
yeah.
thoughts just start racing, and then that doesn't help you present and be your best. Okay, so far, how we doing? 1 to 10,
Good,
how you feeling?
good. I mean, um, yeah, like I would say like 6, right?
Okay, that's not a one. What's good? What are you pleased about the vibe and how it's going?
like the
Yeah, how
vibe.
am I showing up? How am I showing
Great,
up for you?
good, great. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What do you like? What feels aligned? What feels good,
Um,
suitable, fitting?
Yeah, I like how you yourself are able to go ahead and kind of break down what happens. I like how when I go ahead and have a thought, I'm about to say you're like, okay, you go ahead and then I'll go. And then when there's multiple things, you're able to like speak on one thing, circle it back to like something we went ahead and discussed and kind of bring it all together. So yeah.
I'm glad to hear because I'm
Mhm.
actually good at that. So those are things I can keep up. Something I could do better. There's something that feels like I could tighten or loosen better for you.
um, as of right now, I'm not sure. So
Keep me posted. Okay.
yep.
All right. There's like some invisible things that I don't know about you and that I'd like to know that I think are relevant. I did a little bit of homework. Um, so I think you published something or you were featured. Is it George? What's the name of the school?
SGU, yeah.
SGU. Where are you? Where are you now? Where are you from? Give me just like a little bit of the picture of like where you're coming from, where you are, and where you hope to be, let's say for the residency or beyond.
Yeah. So really, I grew up down the south in in Raleigh. And then I after college I applied to applied to a school, but I think part of it was my the how well I did in the interviews, and I think I applied to medical schools that were too high. Like I applied like Harvard and shit like that, which I don't know, but
Like tier two.
yeah, and then at that point, I had to go ahead and make a choice. Do I take another year off, and another like gap year, and then reapply, right? Which I was like thinking about it, and then I could maybe go ahead and when I was in college, I worked as an EMT, and then after college, I could have continued that, but I decided to work in a lab because it paid like a lot more. So I work in like a genetic editing lab, so it was really cool. And then, but at that point, I was like, I don't really want to waste time any further. Like I always knew that being in a lab, it wasn't for me and stuff. And I was like, I don't really want to be here, right? So I was like, okay. So I applied to school there in Grenada because they were able to like I was able to apply and able to go there within like 1 month. So went ahead and did that.
So you grew up in Raleigh, and then when you didn't get into the first round applying to
Mhm.
schools like Harvard and whatnot, you decided to take a year to work. Is that right? Is
So
that what you
I
did in
took
lab?
a year to work as I was applying. So when it got towards like the summertime of the year after, when it
Mm-hmm.
was it was when I saw like, oh, I interviewed at a few places, but they didn't really. respond to me, then I was like, okay, cool. So I applied to school in Grenada over I applied in July or June or something, and I flew there in like August. So
Hmm.
that was
I'm familiar. I'm familiar. I have friends that did that.
yeah. Hmm. And then
So,
I was there for the first 2 years during the pre-clinical period, and then
oh. Hmm.
and then afterwards, like for clinicals, you do it in America,
Hmm.
and I'm in Brooklyn right now, so yeah.
Great. Um, got it. SGU. Okay. And which hospital are you now? Or school are you affiliated with? Like, how does it work?
I'm affiliated with so you really go ahead and move around a lot to a few hospitals, but I'm at Kings County right now.
Sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so
Got it. Got it. And I'll just be a snobby white guy from New York for a moment.
mhm.
Totally facetious. Just playing the part and maybe revving you up a little bit. What did a kid from Raleigh who looks like you have himself thinking applying to Harvard? Meaning you must have been hot stuff, is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you for that.
No, what
Yeah,
really? What gave you the gall? It's one thing when someone says, "I didn't get into the tier three schools I hoped I could eke into, so then I did the Granada move." Like those are the people I know. Then there are people like you, and there's another guy. I think he's from Raleigh or he's from Durham. I wrote down. I'm going to give you to listen to his podcast episode with me. He's also from Raleigh or Durham. Now he stutters like a beast. He went to Yale undergrad, volunteered in Africa, and then he was in Columbia Med School.
hmm.
And the physician who identified my brother's aortic stenosis when he was an infant
Oh,
had a clutter. And he told this med student, "You got to go to Schneider." And Joseph and I became buddies. And so he was in Columbia, and it was the same story as you're dealing with now. Is that interviewing to get in?
yep,
So and there's another guy I'm thinking of to
that's
introduce you, and I
cool.
also have an episode. This guy's an Indian, culturally, ethnically Indian, grew up in San Francisco, I think, and he went to Harvard, did like a dual med degree, business degree at Harvard. Nathan Malapeti. I'll introduce you to
Hmm.
him also. But anyway, tell me the piece that's missing is like you must have been hot stuff. Like
Yeah.
when and how did that? What's your identity as a high schooler? Let's say, you know.
High schooler. So I went to college at like a regular school. But I mean, it was a good school, right? But really just guy that didn't have
Which
to
school are
try.
you avoiding? Are you avoiding saying the name of the school or
No, no, no.
skipping it?
I'm
What
like
school is it?
I'm like avoiding it because I know I'm about to
So you are.
and stutter. Yeah.
So I
I
just said,
went
are
to
you avoiding it? And you said no. No, I'm avoiding it because I know I'm going to stutter. You are avoiding it.
I am.
That's what
Yeah.
I meant. And that's avoiding. And that's what you
Yeah.
wrote. And that's what you wrote. And that's what we want to get away from, Kush. All right.
Yep. Okay.
That's the
Yeah.
old way. That's not working because similar to the other loop, if you anticipate and you're pretty good, you're not a prophet, as far as I know,
Of
right?
course.
But you do trust your intuition and your instinct on predicting when you're going to stutter. And so you get into this whole pattern of like editing and this and that. So I'm like, I want to hear where you went to school. It's a missing piece. And you're like invested in navigating, telling the story, missing some key words that you could avoid or switch. But it makes
Yeah.
for a disconnect, right? So we got to
Yep.
figure out how to navigate that different. Okay. Now that, by the way, now that that's out in the open, hopefully there's less of a load. It's less of a pressure. Like, I know you might stutter on the word, but I'm more interested in knowing what the name of the frickin' school is
Yeah,
than beating around the bush. Yeah.
I went to ECU or East
Eastern Carolina.
Carolina University. Yeah. So I went there at least in high school, I guess. Kid that pretty athletic-ish, who's smart and really like in high school and majority of college, I didn't really have to study much, So
What did you
yeah.
play?
I did I competed in taekwondo. Yeah, so I did Olympic sparring for a bit. Not in the Olympics, but like Olympic sparring. It's like a thing. But yeah, so did that, and then in college did grappling and like MMA stuff. But um, yeah, so really, yeah, so yeah.
Wow. Are you still active? You still
Um,
get on the mat?
I haven't trained in like uh 1 year ish, less. So I don't know,
Okay.
but
All right.
we'll see.
Wow. Okay. So that gives me a little bit of an idea. And the family you come from, parents, the expectations, just give me a little bit of a sense. Cultural,
Um,
ethnic,
yeah,
personal,
so
educational expectations.
yeah. I would say expectations are high, ever since I was young, went to the Kumons and all that stuff, which I think it really the Kumon and stuff, even though I really didn't like it, but it helped me as like in school and stuff, I guess. But yeah, they're immigrants, like the parent, the aunt, the uncle, and everything.
From where?
Um, India. So
Hmm.
so yeah, they immigrated here. Like the classic like thing, right? They were poor there. They came here. Now they all work. Uh, Good jobs, right? So that's the
What industries are they in?
hmm?
What
Oh,
careers? What type of?
like healthcare, finance, and law, and things like that.
Got
But
it.
and like some business owners as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
yeah.
That fills in a bit. Hmm.
So because they like of course the whole thing like growing up, it's like, oh, we immigrated here, we didn't know anybody, we were poor, and we were able to achieve a certain thing.
Hmm.
You're expected to not only achieve that but also go in and do better, right? So
Right. Goes back to that anxiety.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's really helpful.
Hmm.
And and now do you live alone? Do you have a significant partner? Yep. How do you how you doing in New York?
Great. I mean, I'm not like seeing anybody, but I go out to like a lot of things, and I speak freely. So it's not
Hmm.
really that is it's not really like a like yeah, it's not really like a problem like that. I'm not sure why. Part of it could be the
Meaning to
alcohol.
say, meaning to say, right now you're not in a relationship or seeing anyone right now, but that has been a part of your past. Like you have
Of
had,
course. Yeah,
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 relationships. Great.
yeah.
And then you're saying like, wonder how that is, and right away you're going to the alcohol thing, which was my question also before when you brought it up, and I said like, I don't remember how I asked the question, but you answered it in an interesting way. I guess I was going to ask, do you think at a certain point you created like a certain unhealthy dependency on alcohol?
Yeah, I mean, there was like a time like prior ish, but I mean, like I don't know why. Like it's weird. Like even when I don't drink and any alcohol when I'm in like a social thing, like go out on like a date or whatever, right? I mean, I really it's not a problem. I think part of it is like I've so like yeah, it's not really like a problem, but I think because I go into a very like chill kind of, and I'm able to word switch well, and I'm like not really because like I don't really care that much if like if like a random like fucking person like they don't like me, then I don't really like it's not really like an issue for me. But yeah,
Back to
yeah,
but again, you kind of drifted from the question, and at first you said
right.
yes. Did you have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol?
Yeah, yeah. For
When? Till now? Till
I mean,
yesterday?
like in college, I don't know. Like, I mean, yeah, but like, I think, I think it wasn't just me. It was like a lot of people in college. But I think it's fueled by
No shame. No shame.
of
No
course,
shame.
yeah.
And
I think it
look,
really.
some people need it to be social. You're an athletic guy, so there's like the cultural norms, but I'm saying there's also a piece of like sounds like as you're saying now, socially you're strong and you have a good position in the social group and so on, and with whoever you're interested in getting on with. Um, for you, there might have been an extra added bonus, whatever the case is. But some people have a propensity, right, to a tendency, a vulnerability to unhealthy relationships with substances, and other people don't. Like some people can drink socially and never end up with a bottle in their locker, and
Mhm.
other people do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, for sure, for sure. I mean, yeah, I would say there was a period of time for sure. I would say in college, but it wasn't really in college. It wasn't that bad. I only drank like socially and stuff. It wouldn't really, right?
Hmm.
So that was a thing. The year when I was working, now I have like a job and paid well ish, kind of sort of. But at that period of time, then I started going out more often, a lot more often, which led to some. And then at that point, I would consider that time period very not good and unhealthy. When I went to school to medical school, I'd say the first
So the unhealthy period you're referring to was between college and when you were working and you hadn't yet gotten into med school.
yeah, I hadn't, but then also when I was in school as well, the first semester or two, I would say was bad only because um I felt that like I was able to like do well without having to really go ahead and try and study, which because of that, I was able to have a habit like that. And
That's
then
one way. That's because that's an interesting frame. I
yeah.
think a lot of the thinking about addiction these days is less about focusing on the addiction as the problem, but more it's a signal of something else that was stressful or that needed to be numbed or massaged or whatever. So maybe it was because you were doing so well and it was so easy, you had the luxury of having such a habit, which is an interesting way to frame it. So you better watch out that you keep on working hard and not have any free time because otherwise you'll slide into that. But the flip side is I was thinking the narrative was more like it's interesting. It's the time period where you didn't get into Harvard, and suddenly like that whole career path and how am I going to make med school or and get on the boat. I don't know. And then you relocate to Granada, and I'm sure like thank God, on the one hand, and on the other hand, it's like I'm in freaking Granada. Like this is not Harvard. Like there's certain acclimation. That's my projection. But
Okay.
I wouldn't think that you go into the drinking because of you had the luxury to do so. I would think it would more reflect like a strain or a stress or a I don't know if that
Um,
sits well.
I guess, but like there wasn't. I mean, like of course, when that it happened, and I didn't get into schools I wanted to. Yeah, there was a certain level of me being upset around that and stuff. But I mean, it wasn't really. I, I'm not sure. Like that, I do
Okay.
hold myself to a very high like standard, like in my head. But I also am kind of like I don't know. I was like, of course, when I was upset, I went and hung out with my friends and everything, and we like went out. And I was like pissed off and stuff, right? But I mean, after that, I was kind of just like, okay, well, that it doesn't matter how much I think about it. Like, it's the outcome isn't going to be different. Still have to kind of think what's going to happen like going forward. I yeah, for me, it was just like I would just genuinely I would just enjoy going out, right? So I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
I got you.
that's
I got you.
really the main thing.
I think it's we'll move off this topic. I don't think it's significant today, this moment, but I do think the way you frame that chapter, um, you said unhealthy relationship. So like social drinking is one thing, being social, having a good time, and just going with the flow with the other people. I don't know if I would call that unhealthy, but if there's something you felt was unhealthy, I know for me in high school, dabbling with whether it was alcohol or marijuana, like when I noticed that I was using these things on my own, not in a social situation, or like at times that were not like for fun, but more to like kill time or numb some kind of loneliness or some sort of frustration. Like that's when I was like, okay, this is not how most people and how I want to be engaging with this stuff. This is already unhealthy. So, yeah.
Yeah. That right there is one thing too. I would say in college, and I mean it wasn't only me, but in college there was I was basically I had like the weed. I just smoked every day for like 3 years, right? Like 4 years. I started.
It's impressive. That's not an easy feat. Like I give
I
you
know, right? I
respect.
um I started smoking when I was like 13 or something, but at that point I wasn't smoking regularly, right? Like it was like in high school it was a very like every like few months, right? But in college when you have the access and you have the freedom, it increased. And I remember there was a period of time when I was like, man, I don't even know if I can ever not smoke. And I remember when I thought that, I was like, yo, that is freaking terrible. So the the New Year's of after college it finished. After college finished, then that New Year's I made it a point where like, okay, I'm not gonna at that point I was already going down the amount that I smoked and stuff like that. But
What
at
was the
that
word?
point
Going down.
in the amount that I would like smoke and stuff. And then but at that point I went ahead and chose to like not do it anymore, and I haven't really since then. So
Yeah, and again, no judgment, total confidentiality. And I just think, like I said, these things are helpful. And frankly, I think a decision like that, to make that kind of a shift at that point on your own, speaks to the muscle that you have and can be leveraged into what we're going to do together. So when it
yep,
comes to like changing the habits and for example, I think these days avoiding and word switching is your addiction to some degree. And I'm not going to take it away from you. I want to just transform it into something similar to social drinking or whatever, that it's a choice. It's a choice.
Mhm.
It's kosher. It's okay, but you don't have to do it. You got other options,
'Cause
because you're paying a price for it. Like when I'm talking to you and I'm like, tell me your journey. And like you're like, all right, so how am I gonna get from high school to med school without saying any of the names of the schools? I got this. I got this. He won't even notice. I'm sure. Yeah. But I was missing those pieces.
Yeah, hmm
Um,
yeah, yeah. That's one thing I do frequently, at least when I'm presenting or when I'm saying a story. If there's something that has like a name to it or something, like of course at work, you have to say the names of these medical like words and terms, right? You have to, right? But I try to avoid it because I know I'm gonna like
think
mess up
you
the
think you think you're gonna not know. That's another. Write that down. So the word avoid. You wrote, my goal is to avoid stuttering less. That's a really pathetic goal, in my opinion. To avoid less. What if we, like you said, you could take agency, manage it, relate to it, navigate it, active, right? And then this idea of like, I know I'm going to stutter. Knowing is a very strong thing, like it's like 100%. And I'm going to give you, it's 99%, it's 95%, but I would bet a lot of money, not every single time it's 100%. And as long as we can create that little possibility, think about how talking to patients that are like doing their homework and looking things up on ChatGPT, and they come in and they tell you like, well, Miss So and so, you are correct. Many people that have this, that is how things play out. However, I can give you many case studies and even a small sample that didn't go that way, and that's what I'm trying to offer you: some hope, a different trajectory, right? Um, so I just think
Yeah.
for yourself to think the same way, to shift from, and this is massive because you even brought it up very early. Like you're 100% right. People who stutter have I'm going to call it a very sharp tool, which can be used constructively or destructively. And that sharp tool is this anticipation, this future telling. But if you confuse it as knowing, it can really hurt you. But if you use it as okay, barometer is rising. What do I do now? Do I just, pack some different clothing, an umbrella? That's a different stance than kind of like panicking into what's going to be. Yeah. The other thing is, you may have noticed my yarmulke, just transparency, Jewish, Orthodox Jew. And I told you I'm a few hours ahead, so I'm actually speaking to you from Israel.
Mhm.
I relocated here a number of years ago with my wife and my kids, and it means that I can work with you at these crazy hours that are good for a student like yourself.
Yep,
It
great.
also means that right now, if for some reason I have to shelter, I might need to take a few moments, but I'm here and
Mhm.
I'm with you, and I'm happy to be. And also happy that it was interesting that Modi, Prime Minister of India, was here in Israel like 2 days before this whole thing started. So I'm sure there was
Yeah.
something about that. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm curious and interested and have a lot of respect for Indian people, Indian culture, and the
Mhm.
guy I'm thinking of, Nathan Malapati, that I mentioned before. Like I didn't yet know if you were Indian. I wasn't sure, but that's a great. And he went to Harvard.
Yeah,
But what I learned from him is, and it's true also about a lot of cultures, Russians and Italians and Chinese and Asian, like similar to Jews, the family expectations of performing well,
yeah.
the educational values, and the emphasis on success in careers, whether it's medicine, law, finance, you know, very similar. So I'm not Indian, but I can relate to that
Of course, yeah.
intrinsic and also familial kind of expectation. And so when you talked earlier about the only, I don't have an anxiety. I don't think it's related to this. How could it not be related? Like an anxiety to make it for
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
for the career of your choice, for everything you've put in, not to blow it. And I imagine there's a little bit of like you want to bring pride to your family and show your parents, you did good.
Yeah.
Is that
That's true.
true, or is that my Jewish projection?
No, no, no. It's true. It's true. I think it's not really so readily kind of something I think about
Online.
because it's been so ingrained and been baked in ever since I was young. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's been the ultimate goal, right? The goal itself kind of for like a very, very long time for me, right? Like it's the family aspect where okay, they went ahead and sacrificed so much, did so much for me, even sacrificed their own happiness when they had certain amount of money and success, but still sacrificed so that I could be comfortable and safe and everything like that. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I think it doesn't help any of us put our head in the sand. I'm also not here to like stir up stuff that isn't there or that doesn't have a thing, but at the same time, big idea. Just like the stuttering, I want to invite you to just engage with that in a fresh way as 25-year-olds, Tush, and not living with this subliminal, invisible, subconscious kind of theme. Yeah, I don't think I have an anxiety. There is this weird, excessive pressure I feel about my career and making it, but for sure it's amped up by, you know what I'm saying? Like someone who comes from a family that's like generationally been here in the States, I'm talking about, and like they don't have that immigrant value and the Indian culture and the family structure and all that. Like I don't think they feel it the same way, that
No.
sense of responsibility. Now, at the same time, as a dad, I can tell you, as a dad of a 22-year-old law student, I can tell you, married kid, I can tell you that the thing you really want is for your kid to be happy. Of course, you have an idea of what you want that to look like and what career and what lifestyle and so on. But in the deepest, deepest, like you want your kids to grow and to flourish and to be independent and strong,
Yeah.
even if it's not the look that you thought. So I don't know your parents, but you could ask them. But like take that responsibility of gratitude, but don't let it be excessive. And just listening to your story, I just want to reflect. Grew up in Raleigh, went to Kumon. Not like you went to like some fancy prep school on the Upper East Side like I did. Not that I'm not boasting that. I'm just saying I work with people that grew up and were like from elementary, from pre-K, they were destined for the train that was going to Harvard Law.
Right. Yeah.
Um, that wasn't where you went through. You're doing grappling, you're doing MMA. You're not working that hard. You're smoking weed, you're drinking, you're having a good time, you're living a good life, and you end up being a guy who applies to Harvard, who thinks he can go to Harvard Med School. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty
I mean,
impressive. Like, you weren't a nerd. You weren't a kid you weren't a bookworm. You weren't a nerd. Sounds like you're a pretty cool guy with real gifts, and
yeah.
sounds amazing. Pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the story. That's the story also for the interviews, by the way. And you might get to a point that you even weave in the stuttering.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, I'm a 100% will, you know.
Good. Yeah, you play the Indian card, you throw in the MMA, that's a surprise. Yeah, there's a lot of surprises, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Let me think. So far, what sticks? What stands out?
For what? Like
Just what we brought to light. What I've shared or what you've shared.
um
What stands out? What
yeah,
sticks?
I think kind of like it's like me avoiding words and the way I'm viewing and my kind of the perspective on stuttering and of word avoiding. I feel like I've been doing it for so long, of course, right? That it's been kind of something I do naturally without thinking about it. And the mindset towards it has been like that, right? It hasn't changed. But getting the fresh perspective and someone like you who has experienced it with this kind of stuff and it's like what you do, right? So getting that kind of knowledge from someone who knows better, who knows better, it's cool for sure. So
Great. Okay. And we will, and that's where I go back to that four-part framework, the four units, whatever, four cores. That's what I'm calling it. The self-knowledge, which is what you're talking about, is just self-knowledge. There we go.
Mhm.
Hold on a second. That's just the early detection. Now it's a crapshoot whether we're really going to get a siren. That's how we roll.
Wild.
Um, I'll tell you
Jeez.
a meme that my son friend sent me this morning. He's like, what it means to be Israeli. Okay, Did you hear that noise? It sounds like an Amber Alert.
Hmm.
Like it takes over all the phones, so wherever you are, and it's full volume, and it's just like it's startling. And
Yeah.
all it means is something launched. Something launched. So now the detection system figures out where to put off the alarms to tell which communities and locations to shelter. Okay. What does it mean to be Israeli? It's like people are going nuts, telling the government, turn off those damn alarms. They're like, because often that alert goes off and you don't end up getting a siren. So
Hmm.
the joke is, what does it mean to be Israeli right now? Is like, you're angry about the alert that doesn't end up being a real siren to tell you that there might be an inbound ballistic missile.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cr crazy though. Yeah.
No politics. I'm not getting into politics, just is my lived experience right now. That's all.
Yeah, shoot. Then that's not anything I've ever experienced, right? So yeah.
But like even now, so here you go, right? So what I have learned from people like you, people who stutter, is okay, that's like that really rattles my nervous system. So I'm open about it. That's what I did. I'm not oversharing, undersharing, try to use
Mhm.
humor. That's very Jewish way
Yep.
of coping. And then move on. And that somehow keeps me grounded and focused on who's the most important person right now. If I have to shelter, I'm going to do that. But otherwise, channel, you know?
Right.
And, and so stuttering comes, or the alert system comes up to your, prediction system. Okay, our air defense is anticipating that we got an inbound stutter coming in. Vigilant, tight, but then you get hyper vigilant, right? Whereas you, Kush, you're like very charismatic, and as you said, like socially very at ease, very easy with people. So like we got to bring some of that into the professional situation. And in the event there's going to be an event, that's the other thing that's funny. When it's over, like so, if you go to the shelter, then you get a second notification that says, and the word is the event has ended. So, so my girls are like American, grew up speaking English, and they're talking to their grandparents who are terrified in the States, and they're like, "Why does it say the event as if it was like a bar mitzvah or a party or like the event has ended?" It's pretty funny, but I would say like your stuttering event is that moment where like Eastern Carolina University, the event has ended. Um, but if you could like think of it, if that helps, like this, and without a doubt, it's not a ballistic missile. But to be honest, in that social situation, it feels like it is pretty life or death. It is a fight or flight situation. The work I want to invite you to do is to like reframe it, mind over body. I think of it like a quarterback hanging in the pocket when you got a bunch of guys, maybe your size or bigger, coming to put their shoulder into your chest and knock you to the ground. I would run to my own end zone. I'll take it. I'll just tap out. I'm out. I'm good. But for a quarterback to hang in the pocket, like that's what it's like for you to hang in that presentation and doing the grand round. And maybe the way I demonstrated what I did is the kind of self advocacy I'm inviting you to do, which is like if you know you're about to present or do rounds, like put it out front with the attending or with the people that are around you, and like, hey, I said I know my stuff. I sometimes do, hang on a word or something, but and just tell them like this, like I got it here, I got it here. It's just here. It's just here. It's not here. It's not here. Just here. And like a lot of body language, so you don't have to say a lot, but it just disarms the misconceptions and judgment and the unspoken barrier, right?
Yep.
And if you do that, selectively, and then you start doing it more, I think you can test out the waters and see what it does for you. But anyway, the fact that you touched on the mindset. So that's one thing. This self-advocacy is another. It's interesting that the self-compassion you rated so low, because talking to you now, I wouldn't have guessed that. So we'll circle back to that. That's interesting. I wonder if that does come back to maybe contributing to some of the unhealthy use of some of these substances, maybe like to just feel okay. But most of all, I don't want you to think that we're not going to deal with the self adjustment, which is
Yeah,
like, how could you say East Carolina University or whatever the diagnosis or procedure or medication is? We will. But I think you understand, and just listening to what stuck for you, if you go into any of those with all the best strategies, but you're in this vigilant stance,
it doesn't matter
it,
as much.
it won't hit to save the world. And
Yeah.
and now coming full circle to your question, well, maybe if I did find that alcohol was helpful and I stuttered a lot less, maybe that does suggest anxiety. What's the other thing that alcohol does? What is it? It's a what's the classification?
It brings everything down, basically.
That's right. So all your reactivity, all
Hmm.
those trigger response. So I think stuttering, this is a really high level medical research philosophy thought. When you, let's say, when you stutter on Eastern Carolina University, so what was the stutter there, and what was the reaction to the stutter?
So I would say I stutter at the first like the beginning of the word, right?
Mm.
Um, and when you say the reaction, is it like the other people's reaction or like my own
No,
reaction to
you.
me?
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, my own reaction to the stutter is okay. Now everybody is aware that I do have a stutter. Definitely. And I feel like it can make people think I'm less smart or intelligent than I know I am, which then makes me feel really upset about that, and then it can lead to more downstream things as well, right? So
like what?
like like it makes me more like I guess like anxious or thinking about it more, which then makes me like mess up my words more.
Hmm. What about this?
I started doing that like recently. I'm not sure why it started, but yeah, it's like I'm trying to get it out like that, and I'd be snapping.
All good. All good.
Yeah. And like one thing I've noticed, I'm not sure if it's I wasn't thinking about it as much or like because I'm in the hospital like setting as opposed to being in school per se or even before when I was at work, it wasn't super bad, but it was also because I work in like a lab, so don't really have to speak too much. And when I was in college, we didn't really think about it, but I feel like it's gone like worse, and I'm like so like shocked by it. But I just think it's because of the environment. But yeah, I was shocked. I'm like, yo, I feel like it's getting worse. Maybe I'm thinking about it more, but I'm like, it's I don't know. It's really interesting. Like I before I didn't ever like go on stat. So
Right. So here's a thought you could write down. I have a buddy of mine, we call out each other's BS. So like the word interesting, we just we just zap that word out of our vocabulary. It's such a garbage
yeah.
word, you know.
Okay.
Hey, how'd you like that food I made for you? It's interesting. It's interesting. Uh,
Yeah,
stuttering,
true.
it's really surprising. The stuttering's gotten so much harder now. Like it's interesting.
It doesn't mean anything at all,
It's a garbage word.
huh?
It's a garbage word. So I'm just offering you. You could steal that one from me and my buddy. That's like an intimate
Great.
one. But you can
Okay.
call me out if I say interesting. You know, like if you say to me, "Yeah, yeah, I grew up with Indian parents." Interesting. Um, okay,
True.
but
Okay.
pulling it back,
Mhm.
it's why was it surprising, Kush? And you don't have to answer that, but the question is kind of where I'm leading you is that here I am, like I finally got into this. Like this isn't, it sounded like you were saying this is a less stressful. I'm not a student. I'm in the hospital. Is that what you're saying? Like you thought it would have been easier?
No, I just wasn't. I didn't expect it to be that much, not like harder, but I didn't expect my the like the stuttering and like part of the reason why I went in speech therapy when I was younger and haven't really since is because really it I didn't really feel like it affected me like that much. Like I feel like like in a social way, it's never been like a super big problem. Maybe it's the mindset. I'm not sure, but hasn't really been a problem. Whenever I have to go and present certain things in say in college or whatever, it's not the presentations have been very intensive. So I'll like just me like waking up a little early and saying it in front of the mirror, like the speech or whatever is fine, right? You know,
That's what you would do? That's what you would do for prep?
I used to do that before anytime I present interviews and things like that for like work and stuff. I'll just wake up a few hours like earlier to go and do that. But yeah, it hasn't really been a problem, right? But now I'm here in the hospital. I feel like it's like worse, like at least right. So I'm thinking, oh, it's worse, or but it's worse because I have to constantly speak and say medical words. I avoid them and stuff, and have to constantly go and present.
Listen,
Which, like,
wait. Just slow down this rapid fire situation.
yeah, yeah.
You're a physician. You're going to be a physician. Again, what type of medicine is most interesting to you? Like, what are you hoping to?
Kind of in between surgery and ER right now. Maybe
Great.
like trauma surge, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
Okay. Okay. Great. I mean, powerful stuff. Um, I just think there's like the difference between describing symptoms and being phenomenological, and then like the stories we tell, the connections we make, the way we connect the dots, create a diagnosis, the causal relationship. And you're almost guilty of that right here. So like just I'm stuttering a hell of a lot more. Noted. Boom. Before you
Okay.
jump into this whole like explanatory, because then you get locked into the explanatory. Let's just take the symptoms, is what is. That's like the goal, right? Of like separating the reactivity to the stutter to be like, it is what it is. And right now it is happening more than I'm used to, more than I did in this previous chapter. Yeah, I didn't, it's taken me by
Yeah.
surprise. That's also a fact. But you don't have to go further than that. You don't have to start explaining it because frankly, maybe plausible, but not compelling, so like, but then it leads you to work with it a certain way, relate to a certain way. And what I was trying to bring out is I think it also goes back to, well, it's usually related to anxiety and then you start going there, like, let's try something new. It's a new situation. And by the way, I'm just going to say again, sleep, probably getting a different sleep pattern than you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Some people don't think about that. Like sleep is a big one. Um, the other thing I was going to ask you again, humor and provocative, kind of like it's okay. You seem tough. You're okay. Yes.
Yeah.
If I said you seem like someone who's how much would you agree with the following? You seem like someone who's had an entitled life, an easy life. You haven't really dealt with a lot of adversity. How much would you agree with that?
Like 3.
Hmm. So you have had
Yeah.
challenges, adversity.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I haven't shared everything, but like, my
I know that. I know that. I could
yeah,
smell it.
yeah. So,
Share one, just give me one bit,
yeah,
not more
my
than a minute.
I saw my father die when I was like 3 and stuff. So grew up with like a single parent, you know. Yeah, I mean that uh
I'm sorry. That's hard.
but yeah. Yeah, that mom's has some health things going on that aren't too, and of course me being in the field I'm in, I kind of it kind of makes it harder for me to think in a exceeding like a positive way or negative way because I do have the knowledge and information. So that's been rough, and everything in between with certain things. So I well, so here's the thing, right? I'm not saying I've had the hardest of lives, which is true. I mean, I grew up, I didn't really have to think about like a roof over my head. I could kind of get things that I really like want, like it's there's definitely like there's a lot of people who have a lot worse than I do, and I think about that every day. But well, I guess the way that you said it, when like, oh, you've it,
Entitled.
entitled with not a lot of hardships, I wouldn't agree with that, right? So
hmm
yeah,
hmm By the way, I don't know if it's every culture that would say I I'm grateful every day because I know a lot of people don't have what I have. Like in the Jewish culture, that's very Jewish. Like could be worse. As bad as
yeah,
it is, as tough as it is, it's always like be grateful. It could be worse.
same, yeah.
Um, I don't think everybody thinks like that. I think that's unique to certain cultures,
It
for
could
good or
be,
for
yeah.
better. But what I wanted to say, Kush, was at least when you described, like I didn't have a hard time with my stuttering in my earlier chapters of life. That's where I feel like I don't know if you're aware, but like it's not a given. Like some people have that experience, but many people have it like it's a very prominent thing. It's a source of a
Yeah,
lot of bullying, shaming, or feeling inadequate.
it was, yeah.
At least in that way, I'm not, entitled was, like I said, I prefaced humor and sarcasm, but it's
Of
not
course, yeah.
entitled, but a gift. It's been a gift that it hasn't been something that really held you back or was a prominent theme.
Yeah,
Now it is. Now it is. So I guess I'm just trying to frame it as it sucks right now. And what a gift it's been that I haven't had to deal with this in every other chapter. And the fact that I got through those, I'll probably get through this too. It's just like, I don't know if you have a spiritual outlook or any kind of like whatever model you use, but like, you know what? This is hard. It's pretty amazing. It hasn't been for all these other previous chapters. I got this. And
yeah. I
and
mean,
the hardship you dealt with, Gush, I think we leverage that. I mean, what you described as a kid doesn't get much harder than that, you know. And
yes,
but but you seem like a pretty fairly decent person to have come
yeah,
through that. And that says something about response to adversity, and that can be, that's resilience. So
yeah. True, true,
yes,
true. Yeah, I kind of view, I kind of view the me not being a problem, like at least until now, or me now going out of my way and seeking help. I think like it's a good thing, but it's also like I don't know. I also feel like it's a bad thing too in a way
mm,
because then I wasn't able to, or I didn't think I needed to get help. Like if I had gotten some additional help or assistance outside of the when I was in school and things like that, if I had gotten help earlier, I mean things the time I'm having now would be a lot easier, and
maybe,
certain life experiences and stuff would have been a little bit different. And of course,
maybe,
I'm thankful for all the experience I've had, and and then stuff. But something I think about as well. So
hmm. So you think that you wish it would have been harder? You wish you would have had more hardship because it would have led you to get more speech therapy sooner.
yeah, I'm not sure if I like maybe not like
That
harder
doesn't sound
per
so great.
se.
Yeah.
Maybe like but maybe I wish I would have the more of a forethought that because like at least when I was reading about this stuff, it's like a lot of times the stutter it does go away like for folks like from when they're a kid and as they grow up, it does go away. So maybe that was a original thought then. But I think as I was growing up through my years, I wish I had the forethought or knowledge to be like, okay, it's I should just go and figure this out now instead of just like not doing that. But
Mhm.
of course, like that's more in the thing of like a hindsight's like 2020. So I mean, like
Yeah.
true to that as well. So
When someone calls me, a mom or dad, and they're worried about like 11-year-old, 15-year-old, and it's like the kid doesn't have a care in the world. It's not impacting school. It's not impacting social. It's not impacting their self-esteem, their social emotional well-being. The parents are like, dude, but we really want to take care of this because we don't want it to affect him in grad school or college or in profession. I'm like, okay, well, what's the price right now? Well, he's really into Taekwondo. I'm like, okay, so you ready to like interfere with his Taekwondo practice and like rip him out of something he loves and that he's developing that skill and what that gives to him to do something that you feel is going to make such a difference? Like, do you think that's going to land? Do you think that medicine is going to take? Do you think that? So there's also an idea, Kush, like you could have wished that you didn't have to take the time and the money to do this now, but the thought that you coulda, shoulda, woulda back then, number one, might not have been the right time and stage and age. And two, there's no guarantee that I'm working with a guy now. He worked with us when he was 8, 9, 10, 11. ADHD to the max. He grew up in a Hasidic family, Hasidic Jewish family, but I could tell he was too rambunctious and too effervescent to stay in a box. And I knew the schools and the conservative kind of social structures were not going to go.
mhm.
Lo and behold, he ends up bouncing around high schools, ends up in the Far East, ends up in addiction. Now he's
Mm.
a year clean. This past weekend was 1 year, and he was terrified. What's he terrified? Now that he's clean, he's dealing with the stuttering again. It wasn't there. It wasn't so prominent. And now
Wow.
he's got to give a speech, a 1 year speech, and there's going to be like 200 people at the meeting. He's terrified. And that's what brought him back to therapy. And he says to me, Uri, I'm kicking myself because I'm reviewing everything I did with the associate that I worked with. She was amazing, but like, why can't I just remember it and apply it? And I'm like, dude, that's because you were 8 year old kiddo, and today you're
Mhm.
27-year old. You need a different experience. So I want you to take that idea that is unproductive and wasteful, and it's
Okay.
just not
Yeah.
likely. And Taekwondo, would you have traded Taekwondo? You know,
Yeah.
I hope not.
No, no, no.
Listen, you are where you're meant to be, and everything brings you to this moment, and this is what's going to be, and this is how it's going to go, and you're going to be great. There's another friend of mine. I don't know if you saw the quote on the website. I'm very proud of it because also a good friend of mine. He was a podiatrist. He was also at your stage, and you saw the quote. 20
I
years of
mean,
therapy got him nothing. He did therapy his whole life. He was incarcerated in therapy his entire childhood. But when push came to shove, none of this stuff helped. We worked together. We
that's
were
sucks.
friends in the community. He ended up not only becoming a podiatrist, but buying the practice that he worked in, stutter and all. Then I don't want to reveal too much, but basically there was a big trauma in his marriage, and it was not on him. And he managed to kind of rebuild his personal life to succeed in his professional life, like stutter and all.
So, yeah, yeah.
So you got this. You
Hmm.
got this. Look at the
Thank
resilience and the things that you. Oh, by the way, the event has ended. Um, that was the
you.
event. I hope everyone's okay everywhere. Um, the look at the try to see the good. Try to see the good. The fact that this wasn't a theme for you is great. It's inconvenient right now, but you're so driven and motivated. You're gonna do great. And
Yeah,
like I think also with medicine, right? As much medicine as needed, not more, not too soon. Like, but at the right time, do your colonoscopy and your this and that, but not too soon and not too
yeah.
aggressive. Okay, good. So, okay. So the story about how you grew up is powerful. Do you have siblings?
No, but I grew up close to my
Auntie.
cousins basically because they all lived within they all from my they all live within like 20 minutes from my house where I
Nice.
grew up from like beginning of like third grade, fourth grade to till like now, there. So yeah.
Okay. And mom is there. She's in Raleigh.
Yep, yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's one thing I wanted to ask as well.
Just one. Just one. Yeah.
Uh, I what are your thoughts on me pursuing and this is something I was thinking about. I guess this was like tying into earlier talking about like, oh, if it's anxiety based, I was this like me thinking earlier, like I was thinking like, oh, alcohol and anxiety. Do you think having like me going to the doctors and asking for medication of some kind, like a beta blocker or something, and not something I take like every day or something, but maybe like prior to like a presentation. I know it's indicated for like performance anxiety, quote unquote. And based on things I've read, it can help depending, but it also may not help as well. What do you think about that? It's not something I want to
I
go
got
ahead
you.
and go to right away, maybe, but
Why not? Like, why not?
a
Just get like a
thought.
whole, like a lifetime subscription. Just have it in the closet.
Yeah.
That's available. You feel like a safety net. What's the cost?
Um, I'm not sure it's of course insurance based, but it's a pretty
I didn't
common.
mean money. I didn't mean
Oh,
money.
sorry.
What's the risk? What's the risk? What's the cost? The cost benefit
This
risk. Yeah,
Yeah, the big cost that I could think of is now I don't have to develop the skills I might learn here because I always back my mind know I have a safety net. And then the thing I would really hate is being reliant on it because
that's
that's
right.
something I don't want to do. That's
That's
like
right.
the worst thing. So
That's right. So my stance, my response is exactly that. I am not against anything really. That's on the one hand. I'm not against word switching. I'm not against the meds. I'm not against alcohol. And I am against any kind of compulsion. So I think to leave someone with zero speech strategies and just tell them to study your head off, which some people are doing these days, I don't think that's healthy. To tell someone no meds, you got to do it, white knuckle. Uh, to tell someone, yeah, just do the meds. You don't need to do this. But I think given the history that you've said of developing unhealthy relationships with substances, all the more so to be cautious about going down that
yeah,
road.
true, true.
But at the right time, with the right path, I think it's a great idea.
Okay,
I
cool.
think you should consider it give it some consideration. And this question should always be at the top of your mind, like what's the cost benefit? What's
Yep.
the risk? What's the risk? What's the reward? Same thing with the stuttering. Like what's the risk of giving the presentation and stuttering on the word Risperdal? I don't know what the word is, but East Carolina University. Like, what is the risk? Calculate the risk and the reward. So like you're here with me. We're
Hmm.
here to talk about stuttering. What is the risk of just attacking the word head on and stuttering however you're going to stutter? What risk is there? What cost is there?
Like,
Versus, yeah.
um, one not being able to say what I want to say in an eloquent manner to the audience or
So
other
let's say
people.
we're here, you and me, today. You and I are talking, and on East Carolina University, you were opting to duck and dodge. So I'm asking, what was the risk if we just like step out of that moment right here this morning? What's the risk of just
Um,
stuttering on the word East Carolina University? What do you have to lose? What's the
um,
cost of stuttering?
like zero to like very very little but
And
basically zero like I
and what's
mean
great and what's the reward of saying you would say the college you went to, which is like what
college
someone
agency.
25-year-old upwardly mobile. next year's, physician of the year is should be able to do. It's what you want to do. You'd feel good. So the risk reward, you made a bad calculation on that one.
Yeah,
And then the flip side, like what's the risk of avoiding the word? And what's the reward of avoiding it? So the reward of avoiding it is that you won't stutter on it. You won't have that opportunity to get uh, uncomfortable in front of me. You know, what's the cost? What's the flip side? Well, the risk is you sound like you're beating around the bush. There's something you're hiding. So you
yeah,
decide what that cost benefit is. So this idea, this cost benefit risk reward analysis, I invite you to just take volitional control of that so you can be more intentional, more conscious, more calculated, as opposed to kind of going on autopilot.
no, no.
So asking me about the meds is a great question, but you know the answer. It's not a yes or no, but
Yeah.
it's what you said. What's the risk?
It
Well,
never is. Yeah,
I'm not worried. You know the medical is not a risk. You know the cost may or may not be covered, but that's not the risk. The risk is you don't want to become dependent. You don't want to become reliant. That's exactly what I said earlier. You don't want to become dependent, right?
yeah,
So, but if it becomes part of an array of tools in your arrows in your quiver, great, and that's
okay.
that's healthy. One of this podcasts I'm going to refer you to is the one I did with Jerry Maguire. Have you come across him? Gerald Maguire.
Yeah.
He's the foremost researcher. He's a psychiatrist. He's the former head of neuroscience at UC Riverside. He's the one that brought me in there into like a lecturer role. He is a person who stutters. He is a practicing psychiatrist, neuroscientist. He's leading the research on medication for stuttering
Oh,
off label. So this whole idea of GABA versus beta versus
right.
all your stuff. He's the one you should look up his research.
Okay.
Um, he's like the foremost guy. He's also available by email. He would love to connect with you. Um, yeah, he's a great guy. I can introduce you. But in an interview I did with him, he's experimenting with a certain medication himself.
Mm,
And it's funny because I say to him, like, Jerry, you sound like you're on cocaine. He's so revved up. It's a funny interview. He's brilliant. I love him. He's a character, but in that interview, he is like on speed, no joke. And
yeah.
he's experimenting with different things between meds and behavioral stuff. And so ultimately, I think that is a healthy way to go. But as you said, it shouldn't be like you got to be careful. It shouldn't
Yes.
become reliant on it. But this idea of being intentional and cost benefit and risk reward and different ways to attack it, you know, and that's why I also asked you if you've been training. How is your sleep? Let's just go to like the biological stuff.
Okay.
How's your sleep? 1 to 10. Do you get enough rest? Or
1 to 10, like a 7. It's not bad. I normally sleep pretty early.
okay.
So it's not really like a big deal.
In terms of fueling, in terms of eating, drinking in a way that feels sufficient and also good for you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I cook food majority of the week. Weekends or when I go out,
Fine.
then I
You don't need to. Fine. So it's fueling is good. So 1 to 10.
so yeah, like 10 or like 8, I guess.
Okay.
It can be better, of course, but
Spoken like the son of an Indian family. Can't be perfect. Got to always improve. Got to push
yeah.
harder. 99. What happened to the other point? Movement, fitness, aerobic activity. One to
um,
10.
yeah, I the working out good. Definitely not as much as I like want to right now, but I do what I can. I bench squat and deadlift, so that's what I do, and then I stationary bike or like yeah, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Fantastic. So 1 to 10.
Oh, sorry, yeah, like 7, 8.
Okay. I'll give you an 8. Sounds pretty impressive to me. Um, what was the other thing I wanted to ask you? You said self-care, like being compassionate with yourself. You gave that a very low score. What was that reflecting?
That was reflecting. I when I do, it's okay. It's not like I don't have a bad outlook on myself in any way, really. But when I do mess with my words at work and stuff like that, then I am very critical of my own self. I'm like, yo, like it's just like I tend to go more in a negative self-thought for a certain period of time. Like for like afterwards I'd be like, well, like it just yeah. So I yeah. So I guess like that was reflecting that. But in terms of like hygiene is fine, of course, but in terms of my own
Gotcha.
outlook on myself, it's not low or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Well, no,
I
I
think
get it. I get it.
yeah,
So I think it's localized to that, but it does show a lacking of like Kush being able to take care of Kush, Like generally you're in a good spot, but if you get into a negative spot, like you don't yet have the wherewithal to kind of like soften it or get out of it.
no, yeah,
Brings
yeah,
that specific, when you mess up, you beat yourself up over it.
yes, yes, yes.
Fair. Got it.
Yeah, I'm like that with like everything to be honest. So but
Hmm. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Is there a mistake that you've made that like had like long-term negative impacts, like lingering? Have you had like a mistake or a letdown that you're still paying the price for, the consequence of?
um, like few things, I guess, but um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, outside of yeah, there's there are a few things, but not anything I want to
Hmm.
talk about right now, at least.
Okay. I guess the thought that I'll float is that I wonder if those things are appropriately or disproportionately kind of casting a shadow or a light into this, where like there's this feeling of like those things were mistakes that had big consequences that linger. And so it kind of breathes into this, and maybe it should, or maybe it shouldn't. That's my thought.
Yeah, yeah, it can for sure. Yeah, I think like anxiety stuff a little bit, like kind of like it kind of makes you more, what's the word, like vigilant a little bit with things and stuff. So yeah, I would say yeah.
Yeah, I think the word hypervigilant. Does that
Hypervigilance,
resonate?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100% it does, I would say.
Okay. So I think like in terms of prescriptive stuff, probably, I mean, again, for a med student, I'm blown away both by the positivity and the self-awareness and frankly just the habits that you're able to maintain with such a stressful and unpredictable schedule in terms of sleep, in terms of fueling, in terms of fit. Like it's not typical, bro. Very impressive.
To be honest, the way I think about it, it's not really that. Um, I don't know. I feel like it's always like a thing, like when you're in middle school, they always say, "Oh, in high school it's gonna be so hard, so difficult." They make on high school, "Oh, dude, you in college, you're not gonna have
Now you're
time for
flexing.
it."
Now you're flexing. Now you're flexing.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not. It's
The
not
guy
that.
that nothing things were not that hard. My point is that I have tremendous admiration for all that. Um,
Thank you.
and those are habits that you've developed and you're exercising these habits is what I think helps you continue to maintain the success that you're having and the general overall positive outlook and so on. And side by side of that, if you find yourself in this kind of hyper vigilant, so like when I said it when we came on, like what's your state? If you check in with yourself over the course of the day and you would say like, yeah, I'm in a pretty hyper vigilant. Yeah, yeah. And I relate to that. So like these things are good as proactive, prophylactic maintenance, but you might benefit from some things. Think about like how do you dial down that hypervigilance? And it could be a mental thing, it could be a breathing round of like 4-7-8 breathing or something like that. Um, but I'm thinking like having ways to physiologically and maybe other tools, but maybe like breathing things that you can do even in the restroom, literally the restroom or the doctor's lounge or whatever, where you could like take like 1 minute and just like literally while you're on the can or while you're walking from one room to another, something that could just kind of reset the nervous system to let down and just release the tension
Yeah.
because that tension, I'm sure it's obvious, but maybe brings to the heightened your awareness. The tension doesn't help the stutter. Uh,
No.
uh, um, and often, if the hypervigilance, socially, emotionally, it starts playing out physically, and then that shallower breath, everything is just more tight wound. That could be a really big piece. And I think to just demystify, like, why now? Or like the surprise. I think it sounds to me like the surprise is just that you haven't had it as such a prominent thing. That's the surprising part. So you got this far, it wasn't. That is surprising. Fact. Like less typical. The fact that this stage of your life you're having this, for people who stutter, this is pretty predictably, like, it wouldn't surprise most people. For you, it's a surprise. That's surprising. So let's unsurprise, because surprise doesn't help anybody. Surprise doesn't lead to a settled kind of a state. Let's unsurprise that. It is what it is. And it makes sense because, and without storing anxiety, you're a high standards guy because that's who you are. That can be a good thing. You can use it to your advantage. Don't let it, run wild, but you're high standards. You gotten this far. You're in a high stakes transition chapter. There is some truth. You're not catastrophizing. There's some truth that, each class, each course, each semester, each round is consequential.
Yeah.
So this is not like cuckoo thinking. This is like real. You haven't had another chapter. I mean, I would think so high stakes, in terms of thinking about impact. And so all that is real. And so that would explain why it feels high stakes. And that would kind of tighten things up in a number of different parameters. And that doesn't play nice with stuttering.
Hmm.
And whereas in so many other arenas, you've been able to fudge, flex, work around. You've got more multisyllabic, unfamiliar words that you have to hit head on that you cannot avoid than you have ever had. And it's not coming in slow and light. Like it's a bombardment of DSM, pages
Yeah.
and all day long. So it's not surprising, Kush. That's the only dumb thing you've said today. Like I was surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not surprising. Not surprising. And this too shall pass. You're gonna get through it. I would bank on you without a question, both in terms of right now and the placement. It's all gonna work out. It's all
Okay.
gonna work out. It's all gonna work out.
Thank you.
And yeah, looking good. Looking good. So I'm I'm thinking I want to bring us to wrap, but
Yeah.
I'm projecting and thinking that it could be that you feel like, oh, this was surprising. This wasn't what I thought this was going to be in the first meeting.
Yeah. No. I kind of figured it's also what you kind of told me the first meeting, and so it's like more of an information kind of gathering kind of thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, I fully expected
Okay.
that, and of course, like for you, you in order for you to help me out the most, you need all the information that
Right.
I can tell you about me specifically. So yeah.
Right. Okay. I appreciate your patience, and so good. Glad that surprise is off the table. So I would say, yeah, I think I'm much smarter about you. That's for sure. But that's just so I can help you. Do you feel smarter about yourself and about the stuttering a bit?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Some new ways of looking at things, and new kind of things to for me to think about going forward about how I approach a potential like thing and a potential stutter and stuff like that. So, and yeah,
Good.
that for sure.
All right, so let me give you a quick look. Claude was very helpful pretty early on in our call, but didn't feel necessary to go to it. But I'm going to just show you how I'm going to put all the content together and give you some
Okay.
things to do between now and next time we meet, and we'll address the scheduling.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Uh,
Right.
so, so this, yeah, this is the radar chart. This is you.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, how cool is that, huh?
Cool.
Uh,
Yeah, it is cool. It is cool.
so here are the four quarters. So it's kind of taking the questions that were relevant to each one. This radar chart is interactive. And by the way, this link I've put, or I will put into the doc, so you'll be able to come back
Okay,
to it.
great.
This is into all 29 questions you answered. You can like roll over this, I think. Used to
Yeah.
do it. You have like a rollover feature. I'll see if it's not working, but these are all the questions that you were asked, and so you can kind of see the black is related to self knowledge. So you kind of see the
Mhm.
contours
Of
of
course, yeah,
self
okay.
advocacy really
Mhm.
stands out extreme. And this stuff is really interesting, and this is like a personal signature of like your picture.
That
Um,
is really, really cool.
and then I'm just very proud of this because no one else does this. People have all sorts of assessments that are very much like a short camera shot of like what your speech sounds like right now, where they might ask you how you feel. But by asking all these questions, we get this, which is much more 360. And then what I'm hoping is through the work we do, this tells me where to steer us. And then we'll do this again, and hopefully you'll see an expansion, not just in one area, but hopefully the entire thing, and maybe an evening out. That's like
Yeah.
my aspiration. But you see a very specific signature here.
Yeah.
Here, Claude has been working with me for some time. We have a long-term relationship. So pulling out the strengths, and I think you would concur. You know, socially as a strength, talking openly, being a good advocate for yourself, having good communication skills, accepting it, feeling like you can live fully. Areas of things you want to do better. The phone with familiar people is strikingly low. And this was interesting to me, identifying those situations that are easier and harder. You seem to be less confident knowing, which we're going to get to, but there was a question that asked, how much do you know or can describe like which situations are particularly easier or harder? And you gave a pretty low score. Could be you didn't understand the question the same as it was
Yeah.
meant,
Might be.
but but the fact that med stage you're at surprised you totally lines up with this. Meaning, I
Okay.
want you to get smart about being able to think about what are the dynamics. This is some of the qualitative stuff that you put in,
Hmm.
exactly as you said. And then this is like a full on, I'm working on developing like an AI guide that would be able to
That's
interact with
cool.
patients. So here, within self-adjustment, identifying easy and difficult situations as the lowest, clear priority without awareness of the situational contrast, strategies and self-monitoring are hard to implement. Using strategies, managing fluency are moderate, suggesting you have an existing capacity, but maybe it's underused or inconsistently applied. Yeah. Um, so yeah, so this is this. I'll just show you. I'll take the link, I'll grab it, I'll put it in here. You have 2 minutes. I'll probably be able to wrap in 2 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So this is the document that I shared with you. Um, I'll just put this here. This is quad radar chart. You can check that out. So here's the podcast. So when I say podcast, you can go up here to the podcast link, and when you go here, here's all the episodes of the podcast. And so like this is the most recent one. So
Okay.
I might not have put the name, but you'll see the name of the person. So let me just go here and make sure I wrote what I wanted to write for you. I think podcast with Dr. Gerald McGuire. Okay.
Okay.
You can also Google it. You can listen on Spotify, Apple, whatever you want. He's the one who's the psychiatrist and neuroscientist talking about meds. Then there's this guy, Joseph Cornett. He's the stuttering med student from North Carolina, Yale,
Great.
Columbia. And then you've got Nathan Malapelli. I interviewed him very early on. He's doing different things than he was then, but you could just get to see him. He's got a
Okay.
great Indian head of hair. Um, I would love, by the way, to hear from you how to embrace the receding hairline. I'm going through that. Just saying. Just saying. Then you mentioned that you did genetic coding, something like that in the lab. I thought you might like
Yeah.
Dr. Jelly. Dr. Shelley Jo Kraft is the epigenetics.
Oh, sick. Wow. That's
Yeah,
cool.
so epigenetic research. She's the preeminent person, epigenetics. Yeah, in stuttering. So she doesn't stutter, but it's just a good conversation. And she talks about like the state of the research at this point, and it's gone further, but you might enjoy that. And Greg Pandice, I just love the guy. He played. I thought of him because Taekwondo. I know he does jujitsu. He was
Yeah.
the D1 lacrosse player. Now he's in finance, but he talks. I think you would just dig his manly, athletic, and also grit. You know, like just muscling through. And he came to me at a point where he wasn't in medicine, but his greatest fear was he was. I called him like the greatest sample of American studliness. Like he walked in, he's 6'2". I was so intimidated. Like chiseled, handsome,
Um,
Catholic. Like, what do I got for this guy? And
mhm.
he was actually the first person that I did this intensive with, and it proved to me that this was really powerful. And his big dilemma was like he had a girlfriend, and she would call, and she'd be like, "Yo, I'm going to pick up some stuff at the supermarket. What do you want?" And he's very careful about what he eats, like you, cooks for mindful eating, and he loves arugula. And he wanted to tell her to pick up some arugula, but he couldn't say arugula to save the world. So he'd be like, "Yeah, just an iceberg, whatever."
Yeah.
And it was eating him up inside. That was one thing that we worked on. Another thing was LinkedIn. He's networking, but the greatest fear was that he would network well and then he'd actually have to have an interview. Or his father or people made intros for him, and then he felt he owed it to them to show them good on the meeting, but he felt he would F it up. So it's a great. I just love the guy. To this day, we're very much in touch. There's a radar chart. And so what I would say next is I'm going to just come down here. I'll show you which exercises. I would love for you to really drill into um, this one. So if you want to write it down, I'll just put it in here. Push up, do this. So we're talking about March 11. You can look at the instructions on the previous page on the image and then just fill it in. I think this would be very powerful, like how you were talking about today, how you relate to your stutter. So like this would be a whole letter to your stutter, like to just kind of like as if it was a childhood kid in your class that stuck around and at times was not not welcome, but the way you related to it changed over time, over the years. Um, that's that one, the letter to your stutter. Um, yeah, and if you have time, you could do more.
Yeah.
Um, I think those two would be a good start, and then I'll write down here that I want, and then we'll talk schedule. Let me just write this down. What next? Um, Go through Unit 1 video ebook, do exercises highlighted below, and any more from Unit 1. Don't do too much, but try to do a little bit. These videos are like 3 to 5 minutes. You could listen while you're commuting or while you're working out, like short YouTube videos, or you can read the ebook, which are all linked above.
Okay, great.
Schedule wise, what works?
Yeah. So,
And I'm sorry, I screwed up. I was talking to you in the car and I somehow wrote things down wrong. Just tell me what is going to
um,
work.
so Sunday, I can't do it this
Fine.
upcoming Sunday. So just anytime in the week, I'll just the and honestly, for the week, the earlier ask, the better. So just like your earliest time in the week, it's fine. It
So what would
works.
you want to
So like
do? I mean, so Monday 5:30 a.m. I could do Eastern, or I could do Tuesday a different time.
could we
Tuesday.
could we do like the 3:30 time range? Is that is
Oh, PM. I told you that's
no.
oh, AM.
AM AM.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Monday
But like
3:30.
4 o'clock as well, or whatever. I mean, I
You
don't know.
say you call the time. I mean, you're calling we call it cuckoo o'clock. Whatever time you want. You want 3:30, you
Great.
want 4, you want
Okay.
4:30.
Um, yeah, I'd say so. Let's stick with 3:30 on like a that Wednesday. Is that like a thing that we could do?
Let me check. Um, okay. I'll make it.
I just want to avoid the Sunday and the Monday because I have a little bit harder time when waking up really early on the Monday because on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I don't really
Would
stick to stuff.
Tuesday would Tuesday work?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fine.
Tuesday for me is better than Wednesday. So,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. So I got that one on that date. Okay. I'm just going to write it down explicitly 3:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. That one's good. And then the following Sunday on the 22nd, is that we had written down, I have at 11:15. Do you want to keep that?
Yeah, then that'll be fine. On the so starting on the Monday, I have to be at the hospital for 2 weeks, even on the weekends.
Okay.
But on the Sunday, I switch from the day shift to the night shift, so I'll be free
Fine.
at
So
that time. So
we'll
yeah,
sort that out. This is good. As long as we have these first three down, I'm happy. I think that's good. Um, so just real rapid fire, so to speak, not pressure, but 1 to 10, how was today?
8.
What was what made it a more than a one? What gave it a positive value?
Um, just a new way of thinking about it, a new way of considering it, new things that I need to start looking when I approach it in various different situations in my life and stuff. So yeah,
Good. What could have been better?
um, really it was great. I would say and it could be me, but just kind of jumping into maybe wanting to jump into to tools and strategies like
Hmm.
initially and stuff, but
Hmm.
yep.
Okay. I think I would just say go through Unit 1. If you
Okay.
finish Unit 1, you can dive into Unit 2 and you'll start to get some introduction to some of the tool stuff. But as we said, you're right. Like if there was time, it's very rare that I'll jump in like that because if you layer in the tools before you layer in the mindset and loosening up the
Yeah.
hypervigilance, you've added like toxicity. But if you add it in the right stages and age, then it's very healthy. Okay.
And do you still want me to finish the assess form, or what was it called?
The Oasis.
Basis.
I'm gonna double check on that one. I don't want to waste your time on it, but I do want you to join the community. So that's at the top of
Okay.
page one. Put
All right,
that down as
I'll
next actions also. What next?
write that down. Okay.
Join community and intro. See link. So for example, that guy Greg Pandice, the lacrosse guy, he's active in the community. And other really cool guys at the similar stage of life as you that are just a few steps ahead in their stuttering journey, but they know very much what it's like to walk in the shoes that you're in.
Okay.
Okay. It
Good.
was a pleasure to
So,
meet you. Yeah.
so real quick. So the
Hmm?
things I have to complete before the next meeting, unit one, and the exercise that you went ahead and highlighted at
Hmm.
least, and
Hmm.
join the community, right? Is there
Yep.
anything
I put
else?
in the list on the doc
Okay, there. Okay, great.
for
Okay, that's
I
fine.
listed what's next. So listen, I gave you suggestions for the podcast that
Yeah.
if you have time,
Podcast.
and then any of these things that you do, I think journaling and writing is so powerful. So if you want to do it on your own phone, on a notepad, if you want to do it physically and take pictures, but then if you want to share it back in this doc, then we have a living, breathing way to kind of collate this experience. And then I included the link for you of what I created there, that radar chart. It's all here on that page 4. Okay.
Okay, great.
Have a super day. God bless.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.